I got a little something today, and that is the Blackout Defense builder set right there. That sweet, sweet peanut butter love. I've really come to like the Blackout Defense products ever since I first tested that zero reset trigger. God, that's fast. Even with a stutter, that's still fast. There's just not a faster or better feeling when out there, at least in my opinion. It's literally just like cheating. Well, after that experience, I went ahead and got the full rifle, which is this Quantum Mark II right here in that unbelievably sexy gray as well. And it again just impressed me on multiple levels. The Quantum Mark II basically gives you a full custom rig right out of the box with all the trimmings, from the trigger to all the little things you want, especially with the latest offerings. And it's really gonna get interesting once that new dual taper lock is out there. That guy over there, Tom, is just an absolute mad genius with this stuff. And they now offer them in the builder set. So that's going to give you the upper, lower receiver and the rail. So you can pretty much pick everything else you want to go with on that rifle. Your favorite springs, your favorite lower parts kit, your favorite trigger, all that stuff, and make this thing exactly out of the box how you want it with that Quantum Mark II design from Blackout Defense. For me, I looked around, I was missing one thing in my collection, and what that was like a DMR style rifle or a recce-ish style rifle, because I don't have one that's just absolutely set up for that, and I really kind of wanted to add that to my collection so I could just go out, have fun, and do things a different way, and not have to worry about changing parts overs or re-zeroing optics. And after my experience with all of the previous Blackout stuff, I decided I wanted to build it on their receiver set. And building it from the ground up also gives me the opportunity to get it exactly how I want it the first time, rather than buying some company's pre-built DMR or recce-ish style rifle and then having to change things like triggers, springs, buffers, all that stuff. I just wanted to get it done right the first time to not cost myself more money in the long run. I figured what we would do here is kind of just talk about the performance and the range experience with each individual part as we kind of go through this rifle from the furniture to all the small parts, and especially the gas block, because I've recently changed a lot of things over. I do have a couple of items for giveaways that are soft goods, not these hard parts, so stick around. Once we get done talking about a few of these things, I will bring that up. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the receiver set and that rail. So this is the Quantum Mark II design. This is all good stuff here. These are made out of that aircraft grade aluminum that we're all used to when it comes to upper lower receivers and rails. And they really beat the crap out of this stuff. So they don't spare any expense when it comes to the ammo testing. They've got some pretty crazy high-end, high-speed cameras that they look for just the most minimal amount of flexing going on in there. And they really put the time in to ensure that the product that goes out the door is top-notch, because being the other division of their company that makes parts for like Apaches and things like that, it's either a 100% good all across the line product, or if one piece is bad, the whole lot goes. So they have to get things right the first time when it comes to their design. There are a couple of nice small touches here when it comes to the Blackout design. You'll notice up there on that dust cover that is completely internal. So that is a fully captured design that is then held in place by that almost monolithic looking rail. Gives it a clean look and the ultimate protection for that. The bolt release there, instead of being a pin like some of their lowers, it's going to be a threaded screw in there. That way it's easy to get off and on. You don't have to worry about using a punch and scratching up your receiver set like so many of us out there have done. That rear takedown pin, again, is going to be spring and pin, is going to be held in by an Allen head. So you don't have to worry when you change back plates or change stocks or tubes or something like that about the detents and the springs going flying on you, because it's a fully captured design, which is just another nice little touch because it just makes your life easier when you're putting these things together. Now, talking about that rail a little bit more, it almost has that monolithic look to it. And that's because the anti-rotation setup that's built into it is internal. So up inside that rail, it indexes on the upper receiver with two stainless steel detents in there, not detents, stainless steel like dowels basically. And that's gonna keep that rail from rotating even in the most minimal amount of degree. Pretty much, you're gonna break the rail or extremely deform it before you rotate those pins out of there. Stainless steel's tough stuff. I mean, if there's two of them in there, you're gonna fracture something before you rotate that rail. So as far as that receiver set and that rail, it's gonna be mostly mil-spec in there, minus those little threaded changes. It's gonna give you all the performance and life, and it has that warranty that Blackout's known for. You're not gonna have any problems with any of that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the furniture. Out on the back end there, that stock, that is gonna be the BCM SOP Mod 1. That's kind of like my new favorite stock. I really like it. Clean look. It's got that storage in the back of it there. You can hold that last battlefield chew or some lickies and chewies, some gummy bears, whatever you are into. So it's nice. It's all business all around, and it's a little party in the back with that door you can open up. When it comes to the grip down there, the pistol grip, I like the K2. I know it's a different brand from the Bravo stuff, and I don't care to mix and match. It doesn't really matter to me, but I just feel the angle and the texture of the K2 is just a little bit better for me. And again, you've got that storage in the bottom of it for that last battlefield chew before your resupply. Out towards that business end, you will see those flat dark earth Magpul bipod out there. It's good, I like it. It's a nice, clean, budget-friendly design. It's not the best thing in the world, but it'll get you going, and it's gonna do just about anything us regular schmoes are gonna do out on the range. And one of the small touches I've added to a couple of my rigs now are these Walker Defense Research rail covers. So it's a diamond carbide in a 3D printed polymer rail cover that's recessed. You don't have to worry about it like tearing up your gear, your shirts, because there's just enough of an edge on the outside to kind of knock items over so it just doesn't hit that carbide and wear them out, like say your sling or something like that. They're pretty cool, and they've got just enough texture to keep a really good grip on that forearm without being like abrasive to your hand. And I think I have a code for those. I will leave it at the build list for you. Well, let's get up into the guts of this thing, talking about that lower parts kit. That's gonna be one of those Arma-spec US parts kit. I think it's their like pro parts kit or something like that. It's made in the USA, stainless steel springs and detents. It's good stuff. I've been testing one of those for over a year on a specific rifle now, and I've got it in several others. Haven't had any issues. I like it. It's smooth. It seems to be a good design. Again, made in the US. And it's gonna give you everything you need right down to those anti-rotation pins, which is definitely a nice touch. And as far as that upper parts kit, it was just a basic dust cover. I think I got it from Arrow. Nothing special there. Sometimes I like to go with those polymer ones, a little bit more quiet, and they won't catch any rust at all like that should you live in inclement weather, but that's really gonna be a decision that's up to you. But any of those will fit the Blackout, any of those mil-spec designs. On the work the action end of it, for the charging handle, I went with the Striker from Blackout Defense. It's color matched to the upper and lower receiver set. They've got several of those options out there now, and this is gonna be a nice extended ambi charging handle without being too big, especially for something with an LPVO on it. You need to have a little bit more meat to get a hold of it and work that charging handle without being, you know, smacking your knuckles into your optic or possibly knocking the diopter around in there so it's out of focus now. It's just one of those things to take into account depending on what style of rifle you're building and how much money you want to spend. But I've got that charging handle on a couple of rifles. I've tested it out. Zero problems out there. It's going to do everything you need it to do out on the range. And I guess those extended levers are like a little bit more cushion for the pushing, you could say. Up inside there, I have a Blackout bolt and spring and just a basic carbine buffer. So I've got thousands of rounds through Blackout bolts now. I've not had a single problem, and I've pretty much changed almost all of my springs over to the Blackout springs, especially the ones that need replacing, because they've got a little bit higher of a K rating. So it's going to be a little bit softer on that recoil just by a bit. When it comes to the bolt materials and the carrier materials and the staking, it's all done right. Magnetic particle inspected, Carpenter 158, 90, 310, 8620, depending on what bolt you're buying. They're using all the right materials there, and they are made to spec. They are full auto bolts, so you're not gonna have any problem with that. And at the end of the day, they're going to last a very long time, especially with that appropriate staking. And I went with that standard carbine buffer because I finally joined the world of adjustable gas blocks. Moving on down into that trigger guard, you will see that fang looking trigger. That of course is that Blackout Zero Reset. I think you all know how I feel about that. Hands down, one of the fastest, angriest, most like, it's like you're cheating triggers is gonna be out there. It's all great stuff, and I have a promo code for all that stuff to save you guys some money. If you're interested, it will all be at the build list. This one does have the new safety selector from Blackout. It's a stubby and standard size, so you get to choose with your left or right-handed which size you want that stubby on, so you can do that thumb work with ease out there. And that 45 or 90 degree selection is really going to be personal preference. But on the range, it's slick, it's smooth, it does everything I want it to, and I really prefer a 45 degree or a less than 90 degree with a stubby on that offside. The bolt release on here is actually a little different. That's a Battle Arms development one. It actually came in a tack pack, so I finally threw it on this one. It's got a great aggressive look to it, plenty of textures, easy to work out there on the receiver. It's gonna do everything you need it to out on the range. You're not gonna have any problems running it out there. Now getting into that barrel, I did use the Blackout Defense 16-inch 416R barrel in 223 Wild. Now, the reason I wanted that was because, like I said, this is more of a DMR style rifle, so I wanted to push it out a little bit further than having something like a 13.7 or even like a 12.5, 14.5. I just wanted to get a little bit more velocity out of that round, just to have some fun out there at better distances than say you would do with a red dot. So these barrels are absolutely fantastic. They are MOA or better barrels when you're using good ammo. If you're using Bubba down by the Rivers reloads, you might not have the greatest results. But with good ammo, you're gonna print just fine. If I have it still, I'll throw a picture up here. Touching rounds with this thing out at 100 yards. Absolute monster with that LPVO. And there's some different engineering going on here with this barrel. So they've done a lot of testing with those high-speed cameras, and they've got these thermal expansion rings in that barrel, which help the barrel throughout the heat cycle, especially when you are running it super hard. That's gonna help you maintain accuracy and help that barrel maintain its MOA rating. The gas tube in there is just a standard mid-length, and with a 16-inch barrel mid-length gas system, it's gonna recoil very, very soft, especially once we talk about the gas block and that muzzle brake. But the performance of the barrel was great. I just had a ton of fun out there, and at one point I was just, as fast as I could get onto the head of that piece of steel at 100 yards, was just hammering away at the trigger. And it was just a blast out there to be able to do that at that speed and just hear that report of steel. If you've never experienced hearing that delayed report from steel, it's a lot of fun out there. And the further that steel gets away, you can literally, if you're shooting a big enough round far enough away, set the rifle down, put your hand to your ear, and then hear the slap of that slug hitting the steel. That's just a lot of fun. So hands down, I would trust my life to that barrel, that bolt system, everything going on with that upper and lower any day of the week. And speaking of distance, we will get this out there for a much longer day, but we were stuck inside of 200 yards where we were at that day. It's really tough in the summertime in Arizona to get out to a range with distance without having a ton of people out there or being like the 110 degree weather. So that's coming soon, and I will definitely follow up with you guys. And finishing out that barrel is the Blackout Defense muzzle device. So this thing, it's angry and it works. So whether it's left, right, or keeping that muzzle rise to an absolute minimum, this thing flat out works. But you do not want to be to the side of this thing, because it is definitely gonna let you know that you're standing beside a break. But if you're looking for that performance, this is gonna give it to you. And finishing off the barrel and the gas system, I finally moved into the world of adjustables in the way of the Aero Precision adjustable gas block. I don't know how much better to say it than they're just flat out the way to go. Whether you want an Aero or something else, it's just the way to go. I kind of stayed away from adjustable gas blocks for a long time because when they first started to get really popular, I saw some failures mostly with the set screw design. So I just steered clear of them. But at this point, I've got enough rounds specifically through the Aero, and I have enough friends that have rounds through like the Superlative and a couple of others, that I am all in. In fact, I have changed a bunch of rifles over to adjustables because it just takes the guesswork out of it. No more playing with springs, no more playing with buffers. You feed it just as much gas as she wants to keep going, and that is the limit. For me personally, on these, I found that I like to set about 4 clicks in, and then I'll run a couple of rounds. Usually within 3 to 6 rounds, you're gonna get it right on point. I basically run it, click it in until I get a failure to feedback or a failure to lock back, and then I open it up 2 more clicks. That way I'm 100% that it's gonna lock back on that last round and cycle appropriately, but I'm getting the most minimal amount of gas I'm comfortable with to keep that thing running. All right, so the optic, when it comes to what is sitting up on top, like I said, I wanted that DMR or Recce-ish style of rifle. And I know from our Recce cloners out there, it's not like a Recce. I get it, it's kind of like Recce-ish. That's why I said Recce-ish, so don't freak out in the comments down below. but I wanted that DMR style rifle. So I went with an LPVO, and I went with what most consider to be the most bang for the buck under $1,000, and that is going to be that Vortex Viper PST Gen 2. I do have to say I've got some Night Force stuff and I've got some tracked optics, and for the money, I don't think it's possible to get better glass under $1,000 when it comes to an LPVO. This is the 1:6. I'm a mil radian guy. I've gotten rid of all of my MOA stuff at this point. I think I have one laying around somewhere, but I've transferred all to mil because that's just the way I'm going, and it seems to be the way everybody else is going. So the math is a little bit easier too, but regardless, the Vortex stuff, it's well known. It's super nice for what the cost is, and it's got that like we're married for life warranty. So I don't think anybody really has questions about that, but if you do, throw it in the comments. But you can't beat the Vortex Viper PST Gen 2 until you get about over $1,000, more into the probably $1,200 range. For the mounting solution on that LPVO, it's the ADM, the American Defense Manufacturing quick throw in the cantilever design. ADM makes amazing stuff, okay? They have been battle tested and proven all over the world. You really can't beat it for the price point. I looked into some of the Unity and some of the other scalar work stuff because I've got a few of those mounts for red dots, but it was just too pricey for my blood. I thought that for the money, I was getting everything I needed out of the ADM and stepping up into like another $100 almost for one of them. It just wasn't worth that additional cost to me. So for me, it was just the right choice. It's gonna take all the beating, I'm gonna handle it, and it's gonna look good and be easy to use while doing it. Now, a little bit further out front, you will see that titanium rook mount from Valhalla Tactical with the Holosun 507C on it. Now, that is a great offset red dot because it's budget friendly and it's been well proven at this point. When it comes to that rook mount, that thing is awesome because it's like infinitely adjustable on the angles there because of that design in there. It's almost like a pivot joint design with screws that tension the titanium in there. It's very cool. So whether you're left, right-handed, you want it tight to that LPVO, or you want it a little farther away, it's just absolutely great. The one thing I will say is though, it's a pricey little girl. I want to say it's like 240 bucks. It's almost as much as the optic mount for the scope. But the cool thing with it is though, is it's just so easy to put it at the right angle. And it's just such a small tilt to get that red dot into your view and then just right back to the scope. And it is perfectly in line there. So well designed, but well priced for the design. We'll leave it at that. All right, so I almost forgot about the giveaway. So I've got a couple of these flatline fiber dump pouches right here. These things are awesome, goes through your molly gear. You can weave it behind like a mag carrier or something, so you can position it a lot better than some of the other stuff out there on the market right now. These are sweet. These are the ones I personally use as well, but these are brand new. So I was gonna give away the multicam one, but I'm gonna give away the OD green one too, because I tried to give this away like over a month ago and the person never responded. So I think after waiting that long, I think it's pretty fair to give it away during this one. So after you finish the video, head to Flatline Fiber, tell me what your favorite item is on their website, and then in your comment down below, tell me what color of these you want, and I'm gonna let my pit bull at random pick the winner. So I will pay for shipping it out to you. You gotta live in the lower 48. It's gotta be legal to send it where you're going. I can't ship it overseas. So those are the basic rules. Well, that is basically the DMR build in a nutshell, but I did forget one thing. So the throw lever on the LPVO, that was like an El Cheapo I bought on Amazon that actually had really good reviews. So it turned out nice. In fact, for the money, it turned out really nice, because why would I spend more money on the Vortex throw lever when it's made in the same plant that this one is? So saved a little bit of money. Turned out good, looks nice. So that was about the one thing that I forgot. So from the looks to the performance to the overall feel of this rifle, from how tight it is with that press lock technology the Blackout's got built into that receiver set, you can check that out on their website. But really cool design, kind of a different way of thinking about things. Absolutely love the way it turned out. It is so much fun on the range, pegging steel out there at a little bit longer distances. Is there anything I would change? And I just don't know. I think maybe possibly changing out the muzzle device and putting one of my key mounts on there. That way I could use it suppressed at some point, but I just don't know, because I kind of like that muzzle brake on there. It does a really good job, and I think I kind of love her just the way she is. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Did I do anything wrong, or did I do everything on here oh so right? So definitely let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Make sure you get subbed up down below and check out the build list for this thing. There'll be promo and discount codes there for a bunch of the stuff you saw here today. in case you guys are interested. And if you want, you can sign up for the email list so you can kind of get inside track on everything I'm working on, and all that stuff is always in the email list as well. And I promise I won't spam you. It's like once a month or every other week or something like that. I will do that. Make sure you get out on the range and have some fun with your new setup. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one. Yeah, Vortex is good glass for the money, man. No doubt good glass for the money.